There is a place on Earth forgotten by time, an island where evolution has taken the familiar and created the bizarre. Home to a host of creatures found nowhere else, the place is an Eden called Madagascar. 300 miles off the eastern coast of Africa, Madagascar is a showcase for the awesome diversity of life. Welcome to planet Madagascar, an alternate world of life, preserved by its isolation. This place is like no other, a wondrous realm where lush rainforests fall to sun-scorched plains, where trees seem to stand with their roots in the sky. This is a place of bizarre, spiny plants and forbidding towers of stone. This is Madagascar, a world unto its own. Along the eastern coast of Madagascar, mountains jutting from the Indian Ocean create massive thermals of air. Here, a black kite can soar for hours. The mountains also trap moisture blowing in from the sea, making these tropical forests the wettest on the island. Separated from mainland Africa for over 100 million years, life on Madagascar followed its own evolutionary path. More than 80% of the plants and animals here exist nowhere else. Of all the creatures that live here, the most conspicuous are the lemurs. A family of ruffed lemurs warms up after the downpour. Lemurs are primates, like monkeys, apes, and humans, but with a more primitive biology. They take advantage of the sun's warmth to help maintain their body temperature. The mother ruffed lemur has infants. At 6 weeks old, they are still too young to be left on their own for long. Usually, ruffed mothers give birth to twins, but this one has a rare litter of triplets. Their constant demands are exhausting. Rest is almost impossible, with 3 active babies to care for. In a neighboring valley, another kind of lemur, the diademed shifaka. There are over 30 different kinds of lemur, and they live only in Madagascar. This tree has just produced a large crop of flowers. The diademed shifaka settle in to feed. Though the black kite poses no serious threat, the diadems take no chances. The kite also rouses a group of Intl, one of Madagascar's largest lemurs. Like the ruffed lemur triplets, a young Intl has a hard time keeping still. Intl are highly territorial, and they claim their part of the forest with an ear-piercing song. The Intl move off in search of food. They can span 25 feet in a single jump, a definite advantage when searching for a meal. The fruit of this Ravinsara tree is not completely ripe. The Intl pick out the tasty parts and drop the rest to the ground. 100 feet below, on the forest floor, another world of strange creatures. A camouflaged leaf mantis prepares to hunt. The mantella frog is too big to be prey. It's after its own meal. The mantis spots a bruchisia. At barely an inch long, the bruchisia is the world's smallest chameleon. The bruchisia might make a good meal, but for the moment, the mantis shows no interest. The tiny chameleon doesn't dare move in case the mantis changes her mind. The bruchisia has many larger cousins in Madagascar. Much larger. This Parsons chameleon is one of the giants, growing up to 3 feet long. Madagascar is home to over 50 species of chameleons, more than everywhere else in the world combined. For all their diversity, there's one thing all chameleons have in common. They are supreme hunters. Chameleons are highly territorial, and this one spots an intruder on his turf. The rival is attracted by a nearby female who flashes a black warning. Chameleons don't change color for camouflage. They do it to communicate. The defending male puffs up and sports his brightest colors to deter the intruder. But this one seems determined to reach the female. The defender moves in to attack. The intruder decides to retreat. But escape is not so easy. Defeated, the intruder quickly displays his dark surrender colors. For the moment, the defender's territory is safe. Because of her triplets, the mother ruffed lemur still hasn't had much rest. It's time for her to feed. She must leave her babies alone and unguarded. By the stream below, a gathering of mantella frogs feast on insects. Their larger cousin, the tomato frog, simply waits for a meal. The mother ruffed lemur has found a ravenala tree in flower. She pushes her face deep into the bracts to lick up the sweet nectar. Her face becomes dusted with pollen. As she travels between ravenala trees in search of nectar, the life-giving pollen is transferred. The baby ruffs grow restless and begin to stray. The infants continue to explore, but they are still clumsy. Below, a large Madagascar tree boa searches for prey. The mother is too busy feeding to notice. She must move her infants to a safer spot. After bringing the first to safety, she quickly returns for the others. The third baby is now strong enough to escape on his own. Finally, the triplets are safe. As day turns to night, a piece of tree bark transforms into a living creature. The leaf-tailed gecko waits for the cover of darkness to hunt. Of all of Madagascar's exotic wildlife, one creature easily takes the prize as the strangest. The ai-ai. Despite its ghoulish appearance, the ai-ai is actually a lemur with some unusual adaptations for finding food. Ai-ai specialize in foods that are difficult for other animals to reach, and one of its favorites is wood grubs. To find them, the ai-ai taps on branches until its giant ears detect a change in sound. Once a grub tunnel is located, the ai-ai rips it open with razor-sharp teeth. Then the unique middle finger comes into play, probing for the grubs with remarkable dexterity. As mist caresses the high-altitude forest, moisture collects on leaves and begins a long, slow journey to a very different part of Madagascar. Miles downstream, the river flows through a vast and unexplored landscape. Towering limestone pinnacles called the Singi of Bemaraha. The result of eons of erosion, the razor edges of the Singi form the ultimate fortress against the outside world. But even here, there is life. This jagged landscape would pose a challenge to many creatures, but the Ustalet's chameleon takes it all in stride. In search of food, he must cross the blade-like rocks. The process of erosion that formed the Singi left a maze of crevices 100 feet deep, providing sanctuary to the creatures that live here. Beyond the Singi, the river becomes broad and shallow. These waters are the hunting grounds for one of the rarest predators of this wild land, the Madagascar fish eagle. With a wingspan of over 6 feet, the fish eagle is the island's largest bird of prey. The arid forests of western Madagascar are dominated by water-storing baobab trees. It hasn't rained here in 9 months. Most of the smaller riverbeds are nothing but dry, cracked mud. Those creatures that live here have adapted to the dryness, eking out an existence among the dead leaves. Many insects masquerade as leaves and twigs to elude hungry predators. Other creatures survive the long dry season using a different strategy. Deep inside a tree hole, a fat-tailed dwarf lemur rests in a hibernation-like state. Living off fat that is stored in its tail, it waits for the rains to come. For other lemurs that remain active, life is harsher. These cockerels, shifaka, survive much of the year on bark and leaf buds. They protect their precious feeding trees from rival groups by scent marking with a specialized gland under the chin. The shifaka have caught the attention of a buki-buki. The buki survives the dry season by preying on ants and grubs it digs up from the soil. In the shadows nearby lurks a much more formidable predator, a fusa. The fusa is not interested in the buki. He has a larger meal in mind. An ancient relative of the mongoose, the fusa is Madagascar's largest carnivore. The shifaka sound the alarm. The shifaka outmaneuver the fusa, and for the moment, they escape. Finally, the long dry season comes to an end. Inside its tree hole, the fat-tailed dwarf lemur stirs. Its long wait will soon be over. Though this first shower is brief, small pools form, and a miraculous change is triggered. Frogs emerge from the softened earth to begin their intense mating ritual. For this species, the entire mating season lasts just one day. Those that don't find a partner quickly struggle in desperation. The rains bring an explosion of new life to the riverbed. For the Madagascar kingfisher, it's a windfall. In a wondrous display of aerobatics, dragonflies dip their tails into the water, each time depositing eggs beneath the surface. With the earth softened by the rains, the Madagascar iguana can lay her eggs. She pushes the eggs down as deep as she can and then buries the nest, carefully covering it to conceal its location. There are many predators that would devour her eggs. The Madagascar hog-nosed snake finds food with its keen sense of smell. The first rains signal many trees to flush out their leaves. In less than 2 weeks, the western forests turn from brown to green. Many creatures that have been dormant awaken. One of them is a foot-long walking stick. The wings on this giant insect are not used to fly, but to frighten potential predators. The Labord's chameleon has also just become active. He is looking for a mate and he spies a female on a nearby vine. There is, however, an obstacle. The female compresses her body and tries to hide behind the vine, but it's no use. The male approaches. Within seconds, she flashes her warning colors. The female has already mated, and she uses her vivid display to reject her eager suitor. As night falls, the fat-tailed dwarf lemur awakens from its 9-month slumber. It is finally time to emerge from its nest. It feeds ravenously on nectar and pollen from flowers that have opened after the rain. Over the next 3 months, these energy-rich foods will replenish the fat supply in its tail, allowing the fat-tailed dwarf lemur to sleep through the next dry season. Another nocturnal lemur, the mirza, searches for food. The mirza is a skilled hunter with remarkable hearing. From a distance, it senses the movements of a giant hissing cockroach. In the southern part of Madagascar lies the harsh realm of the spiny desert. The south is the driest region, getting barely a foot of rainfall each year. But the forests here contain some of the most unusual plants in the world, many of them covered with spines to protect the precious water they store within. The animals that live here have had to adapt to this prickly habitat. A group of ring-tailed lemurs carefully negotiate the spines of this dideria tree to reach a fresh crop of flower buds. Walking on the thorns requires skill, and for the young, there's a bit of pain in the learning process. Their challenging meal complete, the ringtails bask in the morning sun. Unlike other lemurs, ringtails spend much of their time on the ground. They are also the most sociable lemur, living in groups of up to 25. In the larger groups, several females will produce young. For infant ringtails, that means that a playmate is never far away. Playtime is interrupted by a visitor. It's a male radiated tortoise in hot pursuit of a female. If the female is reluctant, the male demonstrates his prowess by bullying her. He hooks his shell under hers, threatening to tip her over. Finally, she gives in. Varro's shifaka are also at home in the spiny forest. They are one of the few primates that never drink water, getting all of their moisture from the vegetation they eat. They feast on the young tips of a euphorbia tree, which exude a bitter white latex. Dead twigs supplement their diet. One of the twigs below, however, is very much alive. It is a leaf-nosed snake, and it is hunting. Shifting winds signal the end of the dry season, bringing the promise of rain to the arid south. For months, only sand has flowed in the parched riverbeds, but that is about to change. Though little rain actually falls here, distant showers fill the riverbeds, nourishing life for miles around. The subtle change in groundwater is enough to cause many of the spiny trees to transform themselves. It is midday, and the shifaka are in search of shade. To find it, they must cross a patch of open terrain. They enter a strip of dense gallery forest that grows along the river. The trees tap groundwater year-round, creating a deep and welcome shade. The ringtails also make the journey to the gallery forest. They come here to feed and to drink at the river. They encounter a colony of fruit bats roosting in a giant tamarind tree. It is mating season for the bats. Even during the day, the colony bustles with activity. The ringtails feast on the fallen tamarind pods beneath the colony. A pair of giant kuas also feed here. Like the shifaka, the adult ringtails take advantage of the gallery shade to rest. But for the youngsters, it's playtime again. The ringtails head for the river to drink. In this arid environment, all life is held hostage by the scarcity of water. Yet far to the north is a region of Madagascar where water is abundant. The place is a giant marsh surrounding the shores of Madagascar's largest lake, Lac Alotra. The marsh is home to plants and animals found nowhere else on the island, including one of the rarest of all lemurs, the bandrew. The bandrew is the only primate in the world that spends its entire life above water. Bandrew travel in small groups and feed on the marsh plants that thrive here. Their favorite food is the base of the papyrus plant. For millions of years, the lemurs of Madagascar have flourished in the safety of the island's isolation. But the lemur's long reign is coming to an end. Humans first came to Madagascar about 1,500 years ago. As in most other parts of the world, they altered the habitat to meet their needs. Fishermen now visit the marsh regularly, and they use fire to clear the land and improve their access to fishing grounds. No one knows how many bandrew perish each year from the burning, but the once vast marsh is rapidly shrinking. To escape the flames, the group must cross a canal. During man's brief tenure on Madagascar, countless species have become extinct. The bandrew could very well be the next. As Madagascar's human population struggles to meet basic needs, its ecosystems have come under fire. Today, less than 1/10 of the island's natural habitat remains intact. Madagascar's plight is a reminder of the fragility of our living Edens and of the care that must be taken to see them endure.